So we're going to have a look at a few different types of reverse applique today. There is a video on of creating this one here, but I'm just going to do another sort of mini version of one again today as well. And then just some sort of reverse applique circles with these patches behind. You could choose a different pattern there. There's a dragonfly, or with sort of layers and patchwork behind as well, just a technique of sort of creating this little aperture. But what we're starting off here is this sort of layered up reverse applique idea. So I have got three pieces of fabric here. So I've got a plain here for the top, I've got a pattern for the middle, and then another plain for the backing fabric there. You'll get more of a contrast if you sort of work between plains and patterned fabrics as well. And in that order, sort of going plain, pattern, or have them all plain if you wanted to. You'll still get a good contrast. If they were all patterned, you don't quite as much. So I've just laid those together, and you can see here over the top, sort of in a freehand way, I sort of doodled just some lines to start with. So I've not done loads, just a little bit of a pattern here. On canvas, I have drawn sort of a pattern if you did want to sort of follow it. It's very similar to this. And then what I've done is I've threaded up some embroidery floss here. And I'm just going to, through all layers here, is just do a running stitch along those lines that I've created. So I'm just doing a 1/2 centimetre stitch. You could go smaller if you wanted to, but I'm just doing them sort of 1/2 centimetre long and 1/2 centimetre apart there. So I'll do that for this rest of this pattern, and then we'll look at trimming away some of the top layer of the fabric. So I've sort of added to this as I've gone. I sort of didn't end up doing that other small sort of spiral there. I sort of went off here and came back, and I've just added in a few more lines, because what's quite nice, if you do get a few intersections that leave some spaces sort of cut off, because they're then quite good for in the center here, to cut away for our first layer, if you like. So we can cut away from sort of the top layer at the edge, you can see here, and reveal the ones underneath. But it's quite nice to have some sections that are sort of closed off, as this will be, more towards the center. So I might even add one in there. So I've got a section here and here and here to cut away. But you can always add in more lines. And again, we're going to be doing another layer of stitching when we come, once we cut off some of this first layer as well. So I'm just going to cut away some sections of this now. I'll just move those out of the way so it's a little bit clearer, just to show you as well. This one here that I did, similar to the one I showed you at the start, has actually got the 4 layers of fabric as well. So you can work between, have a go with using 3 layers and 4 layers there. So I'm going to get a pair of sharp scissors and just very carefully cut away some of the top layers. So if I start on this edge piece here, you're leaving about 3 millimeters from the stitch to the edge of the fabric. You can always cut away more later. I'm just going to get a smaller pair of scissors. So just change scissors there, smaller pair, nice sharp pair of scissors, and just cutting through top layer there. So we've just revealed the middle section there. So what I might do as well is take away this section here and this section here, and then see if I want to take any more away from this top layer. So I've pulled away, I do keep rotating this, I've pulled away these 3 layers, these 3 spots here. What I think I might do is just now, looking at it, I do maybe want to remove here, but if I just add in another line of stitching here, I could then potentially just remove a section there as well, and here, before I go on to sewing again and then cutting through 2 layers. So I'll now I've added that extra line. I'll cut away this piece and this piece. So I've taken away some of the first layer there. So what I'm going to do now is do some more stitching. You can keep to the same colour if you want to, but I'm just going to change to a navy just to give it a little bit more depth to it. And again, you can either just sort of free sew some lines in or sort of roughly mark out where you might sew. So you can go over and take your lines through where we've already sewn. So we could always then cut half of this through to the back layer and leave the second layer here just to add a bit of interest. So I've just added 2 lines into the minute. Once I've done those, I'll probably just add a couple more in as well. So you can see more because the colour's pretty similar to the navy linen there. But I've done a series of more stitches here over the top now. So I've created more sections to cut away. So what I can now do is I can cut between the darker line and the lighter one where it's created new sections. So what I might do in this area here is cut right through to the cream background, and then the same in other areas as well. What you can also do is if you want to just see more of the second layer, feel free to sort of now cut in some more, just cut through 1 layer instead of both. So in this corner here, I might just choose to take off, even though I've sewn with the second colour now, I might just choose to take off this layer, or I've got the option, might look better, so I'm going to go for it and take off both layers there. So now we've got the cream there sticking up at the back. But again, you've got the option to cut through 1 or 2. So now just again have another play with your small scissors so you can feel your way through. Obviously, if you're only just cutting through to the middle rather than the bottom, just make sure when it's not on the edge that you just sort of gently feel and pull up between your 2 fingers that top layer and make that first incision so you don't cut through the middle one by mistake. So I've started cutting away some areas through to the cream. Some of them I also just cut through to the second layer that I hadn't the first time I showed you. But what I think I might do, because there's quite a lot of the second layer now, is go back and cut through perhaps this one here through to the cream and this section too as well. So you can just keep working on it and cutting away as you go. You might cut off 1 layer and then go back and cut that 3rd layer away. So I've cut away quite a bit there now through to the back of it. So I'm just going to leave it there for now and pop that to the side. What I have got left over of what I've cut away, I'll pop these little bits in a bag. These could always be used for a confetti applique piece where we'll scatter all the bits onto a piece of bonder web and then stitch over it, and that could always become another thing that we cut into the shape of a circle and use at a later date.